Hello, hello, hello,
Hello,
hello,
hello,
hello,
hello.
hello, hello.
So I'm Tuulia,
I'm Pete.
and we want to say a few words about the 8-day intensive workshop, as many people are super excited about that and want to understand a bit more. What is that all about? Why should I join? What's the benefit? Um, what was your biggest takeaway when you did your first 8-day intensive, Pete?
Well, I certainly pushed myself, I judge, to talk about things that I had been resisting talking about and having new experiences as I did that. Experiences that I spent years and even decades avoiding having by avoiding the subject, avoiding sharing what was going on with me to other people. And something about the intensity of being together for 8 days um, certainly helped me um, not hide. And I felt quite liberated from my own thoughts, from my own identity about who I was. Things like that started really to fall away, and I felt far more free to live the life that I wanted to live. And then at the 8 days, of course, we do things that we don't do at our other radical honesty workshops, such as the telling of our life story.
Okay, so let's spend a little moment about the life stories. Um, so that's basically everyone's individual time to tell the life story in the way you want to tell it for 45 minutes in front of the group and in front of the video camera. And it can be like starting from your birth or even with your ancestors if that's alive for you, or in any other way. What do you think is special about telling the life story? Why it's important or useful?
Well, again, I'll go back to talking about my own personal experience. It was quite powerful for me to talk for 45 minutes and see what came up and see talking about some traumatic moments in my life, talk about the past sadness, past anger, um, to see how much of that was a focus for me in those stories and how heavy and hard I made that for me to share with others. And it felt even more connected to other people after sharing those accounts of my life. And I didn't know what I would say um, when I was given those 45 minutes. And now that I've done it a number of times, a number of other 8-day workshops, I imagine my story has evolved and shifted and changed, and certainly not nearly as hard to tell as when I first did it. I didn't make myself so overwhelmed with all these the anger and the sadness, since I since then dealt with a lot of the anger and sadness that arose in that first telling.
Yeah, I have a very similar experience when I first told my life story. I spent a lot of time in my childhood, and yeah, what I noticed that there was anger and sadness, and at times also like going to a victimy place, and that was a big inspiration for me to have an honest conversation with my dad to talk about all the stuff that came up for me in that story. And yeah, I have also noticed that it has greatly shifted. I do talk about my childhood, and sometimes I talk about similar things, and then there's other new things that come up now as I've got like one layer of things out and a second layer maybe. So I think that's also a very powerful experience to notice the shift.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And also at the Radical Honesty 8-day intensive retreats, we do the naked work. So we all get naked together, and meaning removing our clothes at the same time, and one by one stand in front of the group and talk about our bodies, talk about what we like about our bodies, what we don't like about our bodies, um, and we talk about our sexual history, sexual identity, sexuality, and particularly what we don't want others to know about us sexually. And well, it oftentimes seems like it might be something like ooh la la, sexy, sexy, sexy. My experience is that it's rarely ever that.
yeah.
It's usually about embarrassment and shame about the body, shame about our sexuality, um, and expressing these things that sort of limit our capacity to be happy, because we're with those negative thoughts about ourselves, and then sharing them aloud and having the full body experience of doing that in front of other people. And so we coach people to notice their sensations throughout, their physical sensations, and allow them to shift, to notice the shifts, to notice, um, yeah, to notice that they can now be open to having new experiences. Now they've been having these experiences that they may have avoided having.
Yeah, I think what is great, like my experience doing the naked work for the first time and then done it many times and witnessed other people there, is like this sense of feeling somehow empowered that this is kind of extraordinary and a bit scary for most people, for some people super scary, and even for the people who thought it wouldn't be scary, they actually do get very nervous and sweat dripping and then staying there anyway, feeling all that discomfort, the nervousness, getting over it a bit. And then the way people look at me when I'm up there, like with this compassion and care and very little judgments normally. It's more like, thank you for sharing, thank you for showing yourself.
Yeah, and sharing our judgments about ourselves, for example, about our bodies, aloud to others, and yeah, hearing what others think about our bodies, which isn't so much part of the program, and yet it does happen, and noticing, and just doing this with romantic partners or friends, which I then did after doing it for the first time, and then the 8-day workshop, noticing that a few people share the judgments that I thought they would have about my body or about my sex life, and that these
can you give an example?
Sure. So I have hair on my back, a lot of hair on my back, and I spent a lot of time trying to avoid people seeing my back, so like wearing t-shirts on the beach and things like that, and or even presuming my sex partners didn't like it, so as much as possible not showing my back to my sex partners,
not telling them or asking them,
and not bringing any attention to it, just trying to slyly manipulate them from seeing as much as my back as I wanted to, which was as little as possible.
Yeah.
And then doing the naked work and telling the room full of people that I don't want them to see my back, and then being asked by the workshop leader to go ahead and turn around and show us the back, and then one participant commenting, "Oh, your pattern of your back hair looked like wings." And somehow when I heard that word wings, I felt a bit liberated, even lighter.
Yeah.
And it's curious now, sometimes when I go for massages, how you can be at the end of a 90-minute massage and realize, oh, yeah, it's kind of weird. I used to be so concerned about my back, and I just now spent 90 minutes with this person's hands all over my back, and I didn't even think about it till now, at the very end.
Yeah.
That sort of liberated myself from those thoughts that I spent so much time thinking about, that I spent a lot of time trying to limit my experience, such as on the beach, keep my shirt on, such as being around romantic partners, how I was around them. And now I'm far more in that regard, just allowing myself to be who I am and enjoying myself more as I am.
Yeah, so to finish off, we have led 8-day intensives, like 8, I think, by now together. Did I get the number right?
Yes.
Yeah, the most...
you should have told me beforehand that we were going to have to count.
We don't have to count. But I think it's about 8. So by far the most of any European Reich Honesty trainer. And I love leading them. I think there's something really special about being together 8 day, actually over 9 calendar days, 8 nights. And some people even arrive a day early and leave the day late. So kind of coming together as a group, like a family almost, like a community where we get angry and get over it, and that's kind of very special for me. What is special for you as a workshop leader to lead an 8-day intensive?
Yeah, I love the weekend workshops or even the shorter retreats that we have, and yet somehow with the 8-day, allowing ourselves to get deeper and deeper and deeper, and everyone hearing the life story of everyone else and reflecting upon that, everyone witnessing others getting naked and doing that ourselves, and watching each of us sitting and watching the video of our naked work and having that experience, that full body experience, what arises for us to see ourselves on a television screen naked. Yeah, it's quite powerful to witness, even for me.
Yeah, and I think there's something about just the sheer number of days and number of hours we're together, not only in the workshop sessions but also eating together. Most times we spend quite a lot of time outside. We dance together. Many places we have sauna, so we have sauna together. So there's all this like just being together, quite a lot of time intensively getting to know like deeper and deeper, and every day there is space for sharing whatever is alive that day, and also sharing on the key topics in many different ways, in the exercises, in smaller groups, in the big group. I think that's kind of magical.
Yeah, I think it's also very difficult for us to hide in being intensively with others for that long a period in that many sessions. Sort of our characteristics, our behaviors, our quote unquote true self is shown to others, no matter how much we might even want to pretend. And yeah, and if we do try to hide, people seem to notice that and call one out on it.
Yeah.
And how much, it's quite amazing how much, as Brad Blanton says, how much people tend to fall in love over the course of these 8 or 9 days. Where you walk into a room and you think, oh, I can never get along with that person looks weird and I'm not attracted to that person.
Yeah, I have nothing in common with that one, just to find out day 3 that, oh, we do have tons in common.
Yeah, I find it hard to get through those 8 or 9 days without falling in love with everyone present.
All right. So this is Tuulia and Pete of Honesty Europe.
So this was our sales pitch.
This is our sales pitch. Come and join us. There's several opportunities in Europe coming up. honestyeurope.com. You find it all there. Ciao.
Goodbye.